Ah! Sorry, I just had a jump scare with my own face. It's very large right now. I think I need to back up a bit after I post this link on Discord. Shame that my K doesn't work on my PC keyboard. Hello. I should probably do like a starting soon thing for these, which I do for my Patreon monthly live stream. But that would help people actually get here by the time I'm here. Like, that's a thing that I should do, huh? So I don't just sit here and talk to nobody while people join the chat. Um, Maybe I should take this time to convince Indy to come here. Because I do have some dog biscuits. And there is an Indy cam down there. Let's see. Oh, yep. Indy cam is working. Indy, come here. Hello, Darren. How are you? Hi. All right, hold on. We need to get you on camera. Hello, Catherine. Hello, William. Hello, Indy. Can you wait a second? I need to get the video thing working so that the people... Oh, big stretch. Okay. All right, there you are. All right, sit. Lay down. Spin. Spin. Yeah, good boy. All right, there you go. Hey, Macabre. Oh, what good timing. Really? You're just going to run away? I have another half. Indy, do you want this other half? This dog. Okay, so yeah, I thought I'd go over all the books that I have read since the last time I did a book review. Which... Oh, you're back. I'm in the middle of something now. Yeah, begone. Begone. You are so cute. Do you want the other half? I put it away. Oh my God. So yeah, I haven't reviewed a book in a while. So I'm actually going to have to go back to last year's reading to start. Lay down. And so the book that it took me forever to read last year that I would like to start with is, all right, I think the indie portion of the stream is over now. Let me turn that off. So yeah, I would like to first review the book that took me all of last year to get through, more or less, which is The Count of Monte Cristo. And don't be fooled, this is the copy that I picked up at the used bookstore, thinking, oh, I've actually never read Dumas. I've heard that this is good. So I picked it up, and then I read, at the bottom, abridged. And I was like, well, I'm not going to read what is this, Reader's Digest? No, I'm not going to read an abridged version. So I bought it on Kindle, or I got it for free on ebook, and read it on my Kindle. And let me tell you, The Count of Monte Cristo, so people will tell you, I mean, people told me that this was a satisfying tale of revenge where the hero is somebody you can really root for. It's super juicy and exciting. No, this book sucks. Clearly Dumas was getting paid by the word, and there's a reason why there are abridged versions. It's because this sucks. Hey, Roy. How are you? It took me forever to get through it. I had to stop a lot in the beginning to like look up the history of Napoleon, because I'm like, why is this important? This is clearly important. I'm missing something here. Spoiler alert, it's not important. It doesn't matter. None of it matters. It's just a waste of time. So, the basic plot, I will not spoil things for you. I don't even know what I could possibly spoil. The plot, oh, and I do not speak French, so I did have to read a translation, but not an abridged translation, but I should have, because they probably got rid of all the boring shit. So the plot is a young man is unfairly sent to prison and spends his time there plotting. I get, not even really plotting. He mostly just hangs out. He meets this crazy old man who claims to be a billionaire, but nobody believes him. But he befriends him, and the crazy old man dies, but tells him where his fortune is. So when he escapes prison, spoiler alert, he goes to find the money. The money is real, and he uses it to basically ruin his own life. He buys a slave girl, and has her fall in love with him. And there's like 3 guys that teamed up to send him to prison, more or less. And so he kind of gets revenge on them, but it's all just convoluted and boring and stupid. I hated every page of this. Yes, Roy, I do believe that Dumas published this as a serial originally. I'm pretty sure. I think I looked that up at the time because I'm like, there's no way he was like, this subplot needs to go in there. So there have been several movies made. I have not seen any of them. But there's a new one out, and I think it gets pretty decent reviews. So I might give that a shot, just so I can add it to, the small list of movies that are better than the book. I was about to say that I have seen a movie, one of the movies, but I immediately realized that was wrong. I was thinking of The Three Musketeers, starring Oliver Platt, Kiefer Sutherland, and Charlie Sheen, and Tim Curry, I believe, as the Cardinal, and that guy who just disappeared after Batman and Robin, Chris something. That movie ruled. No, I will not be rewatching it, but it was awesome. So yeah, Chris O'Donnell, that's the guy. Whatever happened to him? He was like hot stuff. Anyway, Count of Monte Cristo sucks. Review over. 1 star. Right? Like, I bet that movie holds up. I kind of do want to see it. I'm not going to pay for it, but if I can find that streaming somewhere, I'm on it. Oliver Reed. Hey, Jonathan. I'm well, thank you. How are you? I don't know who Oliver Reed is, but I bet he's no Oliver Platt. Okay. What else today? I've got like a little pile of books at my feet. Okay, I don't think I did a review of this one. Times Arrow by, I don't know how to say his last name. I don't know if it's Amos. Um, is he English? If he's English, I'm guessing it's Amos. Um, you want a well. Okay, then I wish that for you. Oh yeah, him and Burt Ward. Okay. Oh, I just realized if I'm going to be cutting these into videos and putting them on, like, putting them out as separate videos, they won't be able to see your comments, so it'll seem like I'm just an insane person. Like, I am, but, like, you know, and I don't know how to add comments to the video. I know I've done that before, but it's not saved on this thing. Okay, so I'm just gonna plow ahead. Okay. Uh, he's Canadian just to mess with you. Okay, Times Arrow. So I originally got this book. I didn't know anything about it. I just saw it I had an Audible account and I had a credit. And so I was like, okay, I'll buy that. I've heard that's critically acclaimed. Oh yeah, Amos. Thank you, Bambi. Critically acclaimed book. So the audiobook, I'm just going to read it to you so you understand my issue here. Actually, maybe this would be too annoying to read. So, okay, yeah. I'm just gonna skip ahead a little bit. I live out here in washing line and mailbox America, innocuous America, in affable melting pot, primary color, you're okay, I'm okay America. My name, of course, is Todd Friendly, Todd T. Friendly. Oh, I'm there in salad days, or outside Hank's Hardware World, or on the patch of grass by the White Town Hall, with my chest thrust out and hands on hips and a kind of silent ho ho ho. Because that's the kind of guy I am. I'm there at the produce store, at the post office, with my hi and my bye now and my good. But it doesn't quite go like that. It goes like this. Doug, says the lady in the pharmacy. Doug, I join in. Ira? Aid ut ira? She'll say as she unwraps my hair lotion. I walk away backward with a touch of the hat. I speak without Do you see my issue? What I did not know when I purchased this book as an audiobook is that the entire thing is written backwards. So not good for an audiobook. I'm just going to throw it out there. I'm a person who thinks that reading audiobooks is just as valid as, using your eyeballs to read. And that people are ridiculous to think that one is less than the other. But there are some books that are just better as a hard copy, reading with your own eyes. And this is one of those books. Because there are all these conversations where everything is written backwards, and sometimes it's just the words in the order, like the sentence is backwards, and sometimes, like I just read, the actual words are backwards. So, in the latter sense, you're going to want to be looking at it so you can understand what they're saying. And in the other case, where it's the sentence that is written backwards, or like an entire conversation is written backwards, um, the meaning of the conversation or the meaning of the sentence has dual meanings. And so it is worthwhile to read it in the way that it is written and then to go back and read it backwards to understand what is happening in the reality of the book, and then to, understand the difference between those two possible meanings and what the author means by that. Get it? Don't buy this as an audiobook. As a regular book, it was pretty good. I would give this like 3 or 4 stars out of 5, maybe more. I'd give it 3.5. I found it enjoyable, but I did get where it was going. This is one of the books, spoiler alert, that is related to World War II that I have accidentally picked up in the last few months without realizing, whoops, it's about World War II. Everything's about World War II. I also happened to have been on a plane just after I finished this, and I watched, God, I can't think of the name of the movie. Written by this guy, or at least it was based on a book by Martin Amis about the Holocaust. I guess it's his thing. But yeah, it was good. However, I will say that it was, I think, pretty obviously inspired by a passage from Kurt Vonnegut's Slaughterhouse-Five. And when you consider that one passage in Slaughterhouse-Five is 1,000, 1,000,000 times more of a gut punch and more beautiful than the entirety of this book. Although, is that really fair? Zone of interest. Thank you, No Genius. Yeah. All right. Thomas just dropped in and doesn't get the point of the backwards stuff. So, I mean, I don't want to give too much spoiler stuff about this, but yeah, it's written backwards for a reason. And, it's it's a choice he made. It's a gimmick, but I do think that it works in context. Even though it became pretty obvious where it was going early on. So yeah, overall, I'd recommend this. It's a pretty quick read, as you can see. It's kind of short, but it is about the Holocaust. So if you, like me, keep accidentally picking up books about the Holocaust and you'd like to avoid that, then don't. But otherwise, yeah, pretty good. Oh, same director as Sexy Beast. I actually never got around to seeing that. But okay. Form says the gimmick made them so mad they threw his book across the room. No, in that case, if you weren't into the gimmick, I don't think it's worth pushing through. Like I said, I think that one passage from Slaughterhouse-Five beats the entire book, personally. So, yeah. Speaking of books that I picked up not realizing they were about mouths, yeah. No, I also got this book, again, at the used bookstore, as you can see. $7, not bad. Honestly, I just liked the colors of the cover. I literally judged this based on its cover. And this is also about about World War II. All right, Matthias says, is watching your 30 Days Lost in Space worth it? I did quit in frustration. I mean, it's a live stream, so it's kind of like this, where I think half of the joy is probably in the interaction Otherwise, it's very long, and a bit silly. Dust jacket. That's the dust jacket. As you can see, it's pretty torn up. Anyway, so yeah, All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr, and I liked it. It apparently won some awards. It was a National Book Award finalist. So this is about it's two stories told concurrently, going back and forth between them. Hi, Dan. Welcome. And one story is a little girl who is French and blind and living with her father in Paris at the beginning. And the other is a little boy living in a coal mining town in Germany. And he is an orphan. He and his sister are orphans. And you follow their lives over the years in which France was invaded by the Nazis. Hey, Braken, thanks for being here. And I really enjoyed this for a few reasons. Number one, poetic language without being overly florid. Number two, scientific curiosity. The little girl's father is a locksmith working in a museum, a natural history museum, and she has a lot of curiosity about the objects in the museum and about the natural world around her. And the little boy has a natural curiosity about electricity and radio specifically. And both of those things are essential to the plot of how they eventually meet up, how their stories sort of intertwine. And the natural world and also the world of light and radio waves are portrayed as being magical in a way, escapist in a way. And I really enjoyed that. After I read this, and also I should admit that another reason why I really liked it is because the chapters are very short. This is the first book I read this year, and I was trying to get back into reading, and short chapters for me really help keep me going. They give me a sense of accomplishment, I don't feel bogged down by a book. So it's a fat book, but it goes really quickly. After I finished, it's 10 years old, but I thought, okay, well, maybe that's recent enough that I can find some other opinions about it, because I do really like discussing books and what they mean and what people thought of them. And so I did look up what other people thought of this, and I saw some criticisms that some I thought were valid and some I thought were way off base. I'll start with the one that I thought was valid, which is that some blind readers have pointed out that the blind main character in this may be written in a way that is overly stereotypical and not necessarily as indicative or as representative of what this little girl's life actually would have been like, what her own experiences have been like. However, so I accept that criticism from people who are visually impaired or otherwise blind, because they would know. However, I have seen other people claim that they've criticized the book because that character doesn't seem to have agency. And I find that wildly off base, because for me, a huge part of the whole point of this book is finding agency when it seems that we have no choice that we can make. When there is no choice, what choice do we make? And how does that make a difference in the world? And it's the same with the little boy character. You could argue that he also doesn't have agency, he just goes from thing to thing. But there's entire chapters that are literally specifically about whether or not we can stand up to the evil forces that are overwhelming our lives. And so, I found this relevant to my current interests. And I'll just mention one other criticism I've seen online is that this humanizes Nazis. And that's the point. It's not too big of a spoiler alert that the little German boy, goes to war. And I think that that's really important. And it actually goes along with Zone of Interest and Time's Arrow. I think it's important, I think it was Martin Amis who specifically said concerning Zone of Interest that his point was to push back on this narrative of Nazis as being these inevitable evil demons who sprung up out of nowhere, and they're this, this evil that must just be shot to death, and that's not how things work. Nazis were humans. They did horrible, evil things, and they had their own motives for doing them. And in a lot of cases, there were these little poor kids who had no choice, or did they? That's the question. Who ended up getting thrown into the bone-crushing machine. And, that's the point of the book. I just feel like I wanted to mention those criticisms because I saw them made a few times and I just disagree with them so much. I'd really recommend this book. I enjoyed it. Flawed, yes, but overall entertaining and thoughtful and beautiful. Oh, wait, sorry. One other criticism I saw. It's that the final chapters are extremely depressing. And I saw people online literally saying, like, I just pretend those don't exist. I stopped the book here. And I could not disagree with that more. This is not a... This is very much like a fairy tale for most of the book. And had it ended where the people online wanted it to end, it would have been a fairy tale. Just a happy story of survival. But this is a book about the Holocaust. This is a book about one of the worst things humanity has ever done to ourselves. And had the book ended where they wanted to end, it would have just been fluff. It wouldn't have meant anything. And so, like the end of this book is brutal. Absolutely brutal and necessary to remind us that, this isn't Inglourious Bastards. Everybody doesn't just get a happy ending. So, highly recommend it. Skip the last few chapters, I guess, if you're having a rough time of it. But I thought this was great. And the funny thing is, after I finished this, I was checking my library, my ebooks that I've borrowed from the library, and I noticed there I had previously borrowed another book of this guy's, but I didn't finish it in time because I got busy. So now I'm gonna have to go back and re-borrow that one. I can't think of the title, but I think it's like the more recent one. So yeah, something more marketable. Yeah, that's basically what it is. It's like, and I get it, especially now, but all the time. Like some people want books as escapism, and I do sometimes too. And so, okay, this is a good lead in. Now I'd like to talk about James by Percival Everett, which was the last book I read last year. I don't have a copy of it because I did get this one on audiobook. The narrator was fantastic. I can't recommend James enough. By far the best book I read last year, although I only read like 3 books, and one of them was The Count of Monte Cristo. So, but James, okay, so James is a retelling of Huck Finn from the perspective of Jim. And it's so, like, I haven't read Huck Finn since I was a kid. So I can't tell you how precisely it follows Huck Finn and maps along with Huck Finn. But it is absolutely true to Mark Twain. It feels very Mark Twain, like lovingly Mark Twain. It's sardonic when it needs to be. It's loving when it needs to be. And so it's got like the best parts of Mark Twain, but now add in a thoughtful, complicated, educated view of race relations, and not even in how it specifically applied to race during slavery, although obviously that is where the book is set, but it also has a lot to say about, I think, race in present day, including like the white non-slavers, who are they like, is that a friend to the escaped slave, or is that just somebody else looking out for their own interests, who have an advantage over the escaped slave that they will use if they can? There are a lot of really thoughtful, there's a lot of thought experiments in here, but they're presented as adventures in the same way that Mark Twain presented stuff as adventures that were really, in a way, lessons and commentaries on present day society. So not only did I really enjoy every bit of James, but unlike All the Light We Cannot See, it remains a fairy tale in the end. So no spoiler alerts, but if you want a book that is both thoughtful and escapist and pretty good revenge book, unlike The Count of Monte Cristo, James by Percival Everett. All right, looking at some comments now. I DNF'd 100 Years of Solitude like a decade ago. I don't know why. It felt vague to me. Like I couldn't sink into it. So I don't know. I think I need to try that one again. And I have read Bell Hooks and I enjoy Bell Hooks, although that's also been like a decade since I have. Sorry, I'm just like catching up on. Okay, we're learning how to leave comments. I can't help with that. I don't know how to do that. Yeah. Okay. So James, 6 out of 5 stars. Oh. Okay. Next up, The Unconsoled by Kazuo Ishiguro. This is one of my favorite writers. I a few years ago I read Remains of the Day for the first time, and I was like, where has this guy been my entire life? I had no idea that it would be that good. And so then I read Never Let Me Go, and I was like, wait a minute, this guy does science fiction too. And then I read Clara and the Sun last year, I think, or no, 2 years ago maybe, and enjoyed that. So when I saw this at the used bookstore, I was like, yeah, sold. Oh, apparently this won the Nobel Prize. Did it? Okay. Um, this is a complicated book that defies star ratings. For the Ishiguro completionist, yes, absolutely. Oh, did he? This was based on a short story. I didn't know that, Bambi. Thank you. I'll have to check that out. Okay, so this took me a long time to finish. Because, so it's a bit of a doorstop. And this is basically a fever dream, an anxiety dream. This is like 534 pages of an anxiety dream. So one of the reasons why I really love Ishiguro is because he has this understanding of human emotion, and I don't know, he just has this really beautiful way of getting inside someone's head and then explaining it to you in a way that resonates with you, regardless of what you might have in common with that character or not. It's like, oh, this is a real person, with real thoughts and feelings. And in The Unconsoled, he essentially climbs inside your head, you the reader, or at least this was what it was for me. He climbed inside my head and wrote out a novel of all of my dreams, like my actual dreams, and the way that they made me feel and the memories that they were based on, and the sadnesses and the stresses and the nostalgia and like the loneliness and the longing and like all of the weird little things that lurk in your dreams. And he just made a novel out of it. So on the one hand, the story is impossible to truly understand or follow. But on the other hand, you understand it in your soul. And you wonder how this guy knew all this stuff about you. And like up until 400 pages in, I was still like, okay, there's going to be some kind of explanation or resolution, right? Because with his previous books that I've read, he does wrap things up and explains enough about the world to confirm, certain things that have been happening, there's usually an unreliable narrator. So I'm like, okay, are we going to wake up in a mental institution or something? And it's like, no, that never happens. There is no true, like, way to wrap this up. And yeah, Bambi, that's the first, yeah, that was the first point where it's like, oh, something is off here. Early on, the narrator gets onto an elevator with a bellhop, and they have a conversation that goes on for like 50 pages. And it's like, we're still in the okay, yeah, we're still in the elevator, and everybody's just acting like this is normal. So so yeah, I would not necessarily recommend it to everyone, but if you are already a fan of the author and you're looking for a bit of a mind fuck, then yeah. So yeah, this defies ratings, but I enjoyed it. But it took me a while to get through. I had to take a lot of breaks. So that's interesting, Bambi. I'll check that out. I do love the guy, and I'm gonna pick up more of his books. So okay, I have another. Okay, another one picked up from the used bookstore. Paying for It by Chester Brown. I really like I like Chester Brown. I've enjoyed his previous work, and he is a comic artist. So this is a graphic novel. So it's a fast read, and it is a biography or a memoir style, and so basically Chester Brown got super into prostitutes. Oh, by the way, sorry, there was a question. David Foster Wallace, I have not. I've heard all the jokes about Infinite Jest, and I didn't think I had it in me to try. And Margot also asks if I have any favorite horror novels. Yeah, I like existential horror, so I really enjoyed House of Leaves, which, again, don't get the audiobook. You got to get a physical, don't even get the ebook. You got to get the physical copy of the book. Because if you're not like on public transportation, like reading it like this, then are you even having fun with an existential horror book? So I like that, and I really like Annihilation. I'm currently reading Jeff Vandermeer's most recent book. I will have opinions and a review of that when I finish it. But I am concurrently reading it with Mickey 7, and I have to finish that first because that movie's coming out soon, and I need to get that done. So, okay, so Paying for It by Chester Brown. Yes, I also have Brown's Louis Riel, which I bought like on my way to Calgary, actually. So yeah, apparently at some point Chester Brown decided that he didn't really care about having a relationship with women. He just liked having sex with them. And so he decided he would just stop dating women and was just going to pay for it. So it's a really interesting perspective, and he spends a lot of time validating his choice here, the morality of it and the morality of sex work in general. And I found some of it persuasive, some of it not. I don't know how much was, I think that his work in general has like this undercurrent of sadness about it. So I'm not sure how much of that sadness is intentional. Sorry, I just glanced at the back and I noticed not only is there a blurb from R. Crumb, which is a red flag, but the second blurb is from Neil Gaiman, which is like, oh, and then the third one is from Alan Moore. So lots of red flags here. This I looked up reviews of this later too, and it was almost universally praised. And I also noticed it later on my local comic book store's like best of the year shelf. So, but I don't know. I'd get it. I'd recommend it used, and I'd recommend it if you're a fan of Chester Brown. Or if you're looking for an interesting take on the subject matter, because I don't know that I've ever really heard these arguments coming from a John who is like so committed to being a John. Yeah, Alan Moore is Alan Moore's a little bit of a red flag, yeah. Let's not get into it. He's not like a Neil Gaiman red flag. But yeah, but what this is missing, and Brown goes into it in his introduction, is the perspective of the sex workers. They are, because this is autobiographical, he took notes on actual encounters and then illustrated them. But in order to preserve these women's privacy, he makes them all look more or less the same and deletes any private details about their lives. And that to me that would have been so much more interesting, because you're left with this ghost of a story that's lurking behind his encounters, where suddenly one sex worker he's been seeing disappears, and it's like, what happened to her? Why? And you're just left with these questions. And I realized while reading, like, their story is so much more interesting than his. His story, it is an interesting perspective. And he does make some good arguments in favor of destigmatizing sex work, but at the same time, I'm more interested in the sex workers, you know? You can clip that, by the way. So, yeah, I mean, let's not talk about Alan Moore. He's fine. But, you know, he's a bit of a weirdo. Yeah, he does have a puppet snake god. But that's not the red flag part. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Artist. Okay, that's the end of my physical book pile. Although, it's not really. So, in Costa Rica, I read a book. So I wanted to read... I wanted to read a book by a Costa Rican writer. And so I read, oh, are you not going to open up? Oh, okay. I read Okay, here we go. Sorry, it's Amazon, but I just grabbed the first thing that I could find. So I read this book, Unica Looking at the Sea by Fernando Contreras Castro. It is a translation. In high court, by the way. So yeah, I looked up Costa Rican writers and found this to be a well-regarded novel. It's very short. So I read this on the beach in Costa Rica, which was a little. Oh wait, my face is in the way. You can't see what I'm looking at. Do. Professional streamer here, folks. Here, Unica looking at the sea. So, is it a beach read? No. Unica looking at the sea is the story of extraordinarily poor people living on the outskirts of San Jose, Costa Rica, who survive by digging through the trash dumped at the local landfill, where they also live, sleeping on pieces of cardboard, and try to stay alive. And Unica is an older woman who arrives there, and she builds a real community there by setting up like a little church and Sunday dinners and stuff like that. And she takes in a little boy that she finds who's an orphan, and then she also rescues a man who ends up there, and they end up building a relationship. So really good, extremely depressing, but I found it to be a great look at a country that I grew up kind of idealizing. I always saw Costa Rica as this paradise where it's full of rainforests and monkeys and sloths, and they don't have a military, and they value nature and good vibes. And that's why I've always wanted to visit there, and why I was really excited to finally be able to do that this year. And I did have a fantastic time, and the vibes were A++ on point. But this gave me a really good counterbalance to that, with a little bit of a history of past presidents and the effects of poverty in the area. So I really enjoyed this. Very short read. It's the only Costa Rican author I've ever read, but if you are interested in reading a Costa Rican author, I absolutely recommend this. 4 out of 5 stars. And maybe one day my Spanish will be good enough to reread it in the original language. But I thought the translator did a great job of preserving very simple language, simple sentence structure, simple storytelling, while at the same time including these little flourishes of poetic writing. I thought it was a good balance of those things. Is that it? Oh wait. I actually brought my diary so I could double check to see if I've read anything else. Jane Eyre. Oh, and Martyr. Oh my God. We're already almost at an hour. I think I'm going to have to save Jane Eyre and Martyr for tomorrow. Actually, I might not be able to do tomorrow. Tomorrow I am doing the Patreon live stream at noon. That is for $3 plus patrons only. If I have some time, I'll come back and do a free stream. But otherwise, no, maybe Thursday. And yeah, talk about Jane Eyre, which is fucking batshit, by the way. And the book Martyr, which was recommended to me by Audible after I finished James. And it made me want to go and burn down Audible headquarters. I hated that book. I hated it even more than I hated The Count of Monte Cristo. So, Max, thank you for the compliment and thanks for joining me on this live stream. I am going to take off now. Did you buy it, Ocean? Yeah, Darren, Janer, like I missed that in high school, so I figured I should go back and check it out, and it was something. All right, thanks so much, guys. This was fun. I will be back later this week, and we'll talk some more books and do some more stuff. It'll be fun.